So I think it'd be great for you to, if you engage a client, what are the steps that you take them through to help them invest in property and get a great return within that 9 to 10 years that you mentioned before? So take us through
Yeah.
those steps.
Yeah, it's great. Another great question. So it all kind of starts with what they're trying to achieve. Okay. So what I've learned is that there's no value or actually no validity in having a one size fits all approach. So, no two people are the same, no two properties are the same, no two goals are the same. You might have some similarities. Like a lot of people say, I want $100,000 passive income. That's a pretty common terminology that people use, but everyone's got a slightly different reason or value or emotional overlay. So the first step is finding out a bit about, who you are and what you're trying to achieve. Now, the second step after that is going, okay, well, how do we then go from where you are to where you want to be? What is that going to look like? And start thinking through those strategic steps, because what is going to be the best next step for one person might not be the best next step for another. Now, there is a framework that we use and we call it the Apex progression. Now, within the Apex progression, there's a little bit of room to move, but the basic premise is that there's 3 phases: foundation, acceleration, and legacy. And so, the foundation phase is typically for people who have got, between 0 and 3 properties, or 0 and 4 properties. That's where you really need to focus on a certain type of asset that's going to deliver a certain type of result. That's going to be the engine room to fuel the rest of your property portfolio and get you to where you want to go. So we're typically higher growth, but less complex value adds and some other kind of characteristics around that. And then the next phase, once you've kind of got that foundation, now some people might already have 2 properties and have had plenty of growth and got plenty of equity. And, part of it's about emotional fortitude as well. Because if you try and go too fast, too quick, you can end up stressing yourself out and stuffing things up. So the next phase is what we call the acceleration phase. So once you've got the financial and emotional fortitude to be able to take the next step, that's when we start looking at things like subdivisions, granny flats, things that are a little bit more intensive in the value add strategy that can be done to those types of properties. And then once we've again built up a certain level of financial and emotional fortitude throughout that, we can then move on to what we call the legacy phase, which is, more complex again, which is things like larger deals, typically commercial lending and a few other different, we might be looking at unit blocks, for example. Now, we wouldn't search for an apartment, but we might look for an apartment block. There's a very big difference between the two concepts. So that's kind of the general pathway. So the idea is firstly work out where they are, and then work out how we can help them go through that framework to get them to where they want to go. By following that, that's what helps people to get there. After that, once we've defined the strategy, defined where they're going and the pace and the speed, and made sure we've got all the administrative stuff sorted, we get cracking and we start searching. So what we do is very hands-on. Most people don't have the time, skills, inclination to be able to go and do what we do. So we offer a full end-to-end service, not a course or a coaching, mentoring thing. So no, we'll just go and do it for you. So it typically takes about 5 hours of contact time for our clients, and it takes us about 30 days to 45 days to find the right property based on that strategy. So there's no off-the-shelf stuff. There's no new builds. There's no, backhanders with developers. There's none of that kind of stuff. Every single search we do is 100% bespoke based on the individual client needs and based on the best locations at that point in time, because they change. So where we were buying 3 months ago is different to where we're buying now, and it'll be different to where we're buying in 3 months' time. So we've got to factor in all of those different components, but it typically takes us about 30 to 45 days to identify and do enough due diligence. And then after that, we start buying.